Bad Roman is a popular and quirky Italian restaurant that took the social media world by storm when it opened. The restaurant serves a number of unique and somewhat odd courses like a filet mignon topped with a cacio e pepe raviolo. I just had to see for myself if Bad Roman served good food and lived up to the hype or if it was merely a gimmick.
Beautiful day today here in New York City. Right now I'm in Long Island City, right along the East River, and I'm admiring the spectacular Manhattan skyline. But I'd like to talk about the other week, where I had dinner at what has to be one of the most interesting Italian restaurants in all of NYC. I went to Bad Roman, and it's a strange one. The place has been around a couple of years now. When it first opened, it was insanely popular. It was all over social media, and you literally couldn't open up Instagram without seeing something from the restaurant. It is what you would call a viral restaurant. Some of those dishes they offer seem tailored for Instagram. Normally, I tend to avoid places like that. You know, the kind of spots that make dishes for looks rather than flavor. At the same time, I'm always willing to try something new, and the restaurant comes from a pretty respectable restaurant group. Plus, some of the food did look pretty good. Not everything, but there were a number of intriguing dishes that captured my attention. So I figured I'd go and give Bad Roman a try, although when the place first opened, it was incredibly popular and getting a reservation was quite the challenge. These days, getting a reservation is much easier, but it is still a popular place. Having said that, I managed to secure a Friday night reservation for dinner, and this was my meal at Bad Roman.
Bad Roman is located in Midtown Manhattan within Columbus Circle inside the Deutsche Bank Center. The restaurant may be housed within a mall, but it's among good company as the 3 Michelin-starred Per Se and the 3 Michelin-starred Massa share the same space. Bad Roman is the product of the Quality Branded Restaurant Group, which was responsible for places like the incredibly popular Don Angie and the New York location of the classic steakhouse Smith & Wollensky. In fact, right across from Bad Roman is one of Quality Branded's latest restaurants, Twin Tales. It was in 2023 that Bad Roman opened its doors to mixed reviews. However, one thing was for sure, Bad Roman is a restaurant that can't be ignored. I arrived to the restaurant right when it opened for dinner at 5 p.m. on a Friday night. After checking in, I was soon seated and I took in the space. Bad Roman is a fairly sizable establishment, and the decor certainly fits the quirky menu, although at the same time you still know that you're in a fine dining restaurant, but a fun one. Music was played at a higher but not obnoxious level. Overall, I thought that it was a nice interior, I appreciated the unique look, and found it to be a comfortable space for enjoying a meal. Next, I began to look over the menu, and even the wide shape of it once again showcased that Bad Roman isn't like other restaurants. The menu features Italian-inspired dishes, where traditionalism and authenticity take a backseat to fun. For instance, there's a course called Roni Cups and Ranch, which is literally a plate of large pepperoni slices and a cup of ranch dressing. Yeah, that one isn't for everyone, and I think knowing what to order at Bad Roman is very important. One course that really intrigued me was the whole 2-pound lobster and Calabrian pasta. Now, it is a dish meant for 2, but I know that I could finish it. However, I wanted to order a few courses rather than just a single big one. In addition to the main menu, I was also given a sheet with some intriguing specials. I also found it interesting that Bad Roman offers a children's menu, and there are some odd options there. For instance, little ones can order a simple hunk of Parmesan cheese. It's also worth pointing out that Bad Roman is also open for lunch and brunch. While those menus aren't as expansive as the dinner selection, they still contain most of the restaurant's signature dishes. Next, I perused the beverage selection. Bad Roman offers a decent array of Italian wine, but I was keen on a cocktail. There were some intriguing options, but unfortunately, the drink I chose was an absolute disaster. In the meantime, however, I was presented with my first course, the garlic Bobka. It was a nice looking loaf of bread, and I was eager to finally get some food in my stomach. First, I cut myself off a slice, but in reality, the bread is so soft that it can easily be pulled apart with one's hands. The Bobka was fantastic. It was warm and fresh with an excellent garlic flavor. I liked the bit of parm topping the bread, which gave a nice punch of umami. That dish really hit the mark for me. While there's no complimentary bread service at Bad Roman like many traditional Italian restaurants, that Bobka is definitely worth ordering. It wasn't long until I was presented with my cocktail. I ordered the Martini Pepperonchini, which contained Grey Goose, pepperoncini brine, and lemon zest. Now, I knew ordering that drink was a risk, but I love martinis and I appreciate original creation, so I thought I would take a chance. Although I've gotten burned in the past when it came to trying unique martinis, such as when I had the MSG martini from Bonnie's, which I wasn't a fan of. Unfortunately, the Pepperonchini martini from Bad Roman proved to be even worse. My first sip was perplexing. I was waiting for the flavors to come through and the flavors weren't good. It tasted like a cocktail consisting of vodka, sewer water, and battery acid. I hated it. Essentially, it's a savory, spicy drink showcasing pepperoncini, which is a generic Italian name for hot chili peppers. While I appreciated the effort to craft a unique beverage, that martini was definitely not for me. Thankfully, the appetizer was one that I loved. I ordered the Porquetto ribs and they looked delicious. My initial bite was incredible. First off, it was great to get that horrible taste of the martini out of my mouth. Second, those ribs tasted amazing. They were a good size and very meaty. Plus, the ribs were cooked perfectly. They were very juicy and tender. Above all else, I loved their flavor. The sauce on the ribs was excellent. It was almost like a sweet and sour sauce, but the seasoning on the meat interacted with the sauce nicely, resulting in some top-notch savory flavors. Overall, that was an excellent appetizer, but before I could finish it, I was presented with my main course. Now, I wish my main would have arrived a couple minutes later so I could have finished my ribs, but it was no big deal, so I took a pause from my last rib and turned my attention to the entree. I got what is probably the most infamous dish from Bad Roman, the Fileto, topped with a cacio e pepe raviolo. It's basically a filet mignon topped with a giant raviolo containing a liquefied form of cacio e pepe. Not everyone is a fan of that dish. Now, the filet is a steak that is commonly paired with sauces or other elements, but a massive raviolo is a bit out there. Although, back when I was in Japan dining at the 2 Michelin-starred Floriege, they offered a duck dish with ravioli. It worked, so it's not completely an odd concept to offer a large protein with a form of ravioli. Despite some naysayers, I was still eager to give that dish a try. First, I attempted to elegantly slit the raviolo open just like I've seen on Instagram, but I epically failed at that. With a little adjustment, I was back in business and ready to give the steak a try. My first bite was enjoyable. I thought that was a good dish. Dissecting the offering, I felt that the steak itself was very tasty. It was cooked to a solid medium rare and I found it to be tender and juicy. The top of the steak was also good as it had a fair sear. Diving into the raviolo, now that was interesting. It was a very large piece of pasta and it was completely stuffed with the liquefied cacio e pepe, which I thought had a great flavor and complemented the meat well. The richness and umami impact of the cheese proved to be a nice sauce. Plus, pepper is of course a natural pairing with steak. The sauce was also fairly salty, which also benefited the beef as it was minimally seasoned. Overall, I thought that the sauce within the raviolo was very tasty and went well with the meat. The strangest part to me, however, was how the actual pasta paired with the steak. I didn't not like it, but I just felt like it didn't mesh well with the beef. To me, the raviolo felt more like a creative and attention-getting vessel to deliver the cacio e pepe sauce. Frankly, the dish could have ditched the pasta and just kept the sauce and I would have been just as happy. Although, I get it, the raviolo is what caused a stir and put the dish on the culinary map. Regardless, I certainly enjoyed that steak and after finishing, it was on to dessert. Just like Bad Roman's main menu, the dessert selection had a number of Italian-inspired offerings with unique little twists. Even dishes that sounded ordinary are jazzed up in their presentation, like the lemon cheesecake, which was what I got. Instead of a traditional slice of cheesecake, Bad Roman offers a somewhat deconstructed version in which 2 lemons are formed from white chocolate and are filled with a rich cheesecake mousse and a touch of lemon curd. Covering the plate is a spread of graham cracker crumbs. As a whole, the dish looked fantastic and just plain fun. Simply put, I couldn't wait to give it a try. First, I attempted to open one of the lemons with some small taps from my spoon, just like I've seen on Instagram, but unfortunately, that was a fail. With a bit of a grip, I managed to crack the lemon open and take a bite, and that was a hell of a bite. To put it plainly, I loved that cheesecake. I thought it was creative, delicious, and fun. The mousse within the lemons was so smooth, flavorful, and perfectly balanced. The white chocolate shells of the lemons were more than just gimmicks, as they provided a nice textural element to the dish. I loved the spread of the graham cracker crumbs on the plate, as it was nice to get a spoonful of as much or as little of it as possible in combination with the cheesecake mousse. Now, I could see how some would label the dish as gimmicky, but the fact is, it worked and it was delicious. While I was enjoying my dessert, my server generously provided me with a complimentary glass of limoncello, which was very nice. Although he might have just felt sorry for me because I ordered the Martini Pepperonchini. As expected, the limoncello paired perfectly with the lemon cheesecake. Overall, I enjoyed Bad Roman. Yeah, it's gimmicky at points and the menu isn't perfect, but the food I had was great. After finishing the dessert, it was time for the bill, which totaled to $146.98, but with my tip, I spent about $174. Now that was expensive, but considering what I got, it was on par for Manhattan. Plus, I enjoyed all of my food, except for the martini. That was horrible.
Overall, that was a good meal. I really enjoyed that, but boy was I stuffed that night. Even though I liked that garlic babka, I probably didn't need to order it. Yeah, I pretty much reached my limit that night. Even when I finished, I had to stop at Central Park and sit on a bench for like 10 minutes just to gain my composure before I was able to head back home. It was worth it though. That was good food, except for that cocktail. My goodness, was that vile. That was literally one of the worst drinks that I've ever had. I'm thinking to myself, how could anyone enjoy that? I pride myself on having a very wide-ranging palate. Even if I don't particularly like something, I can kind of see how someone else may like it, but yeah, I don't know what the hell was up with that drink. At the same time, I knew I was taking a risk with that drink. I mean, no sane person with taste buds is scrolling down that cocktail list and seeing pepperoncini brine and thinking that's gonna quench my thirst. But I do appreciate unique things. Unfortunately, it was just uniquely bad. Thankfully, I did enjoy all the food I had. I mean, that steak with the cacio e pepe raviolo was interesting, but flavor-wise, I liked it. You know, there are a lot of people out there that really respect tradition and think dishes should only be done in a certain way, and that's fair, but to me, I really don't care about any of that. Just make it taste good, and that's all that matters to me. Besides my horrible drink selection, I think I made good menu choices when it came to food. Although when I look at Bad Roman's menu, it's clear that maybe not everything will hit just right, but at the same time, a restaurant doesn't have to have a perfect menu to be a restaurant worth going to. Now, I'm not a fan of gimmicky restaurants or gimmicky food or over-the-top tableside preparations like at Salt Bay's restaurants. But I think Bad Roman treads that line nicely, where it's not so over the top, but there's still that element of showmanship and theatrics to it. Basically, it's largely a fun restaurant, and when there are so many establishments out there that seem so similar to each other, it's nice that a place like Bad Roman is there that stands out and does something different. Overall, I think Bad Roman is a restaurant that's worth going to, but I think you gotta know what to order. Namely, do not get that cocktail that I drank. In conclusion, I really enjoyed my meal at Bad Roman, and I will certainly be back.